Soul Autonomy Masterclass, Belonging to Self, The Return of Inner Authority, a Her Soul Reteaching. Introduction, The Remembrance. This work is not designed to teach you something new. It is designed to return you to something ancient. Soul autonomy is not independence in the egoic sense. It is not rebellion. It is not isolation. It is remembrance. It is the remembering of where authority has always lived, within you, before the world touched you, before you were shaped, before you were corrected, conditioned, or constrained, before you learned who to be. Pause here. Ask yourself, who was I before I was told who I was? Who was I before approval mattered? Who was I before survival shaped my choices? That is where this journey begins. Module 1. The original state. You were born sovereign. At birth, the soul arrives whole, not empty, not lacking, not waiting to be completed. Before language, before obedience, before performance, belonging to self is the original human condition. Infants do not question their needs. They cry, they reach, they respond to sensation instinctively. Nothing is filtered, nothing is negotiated. The fracture begins when love becomes conditional, when praise replaces presence, when obedience replaces understanding, when safety becomes something to earn. Reflection. When did you first learn that being yourself could cost you love? What parts of you learned to quiet down in order to stay connected? Autonomy was not lost. It was set aside for survival. Module 2. Conditioning and the Loss of Inner Authority. Soul autonomy is rarely taken. It is surrendered through fear-based parenting, through punishment without explanation, through religion that teaches obedience without embodiment, through education that rewards compliance over curiosity, through economic pressure that equates worth with productivity, through trauma that teaches silence. The nervous system learns a dangerous truth. My safety depends on compliance. Ask yourself, where do I still choose approval over truth? Where does my body tighten when I consider saying no? What does my nervous system believe will happen if I choose myself? The soul does not disappear. It waits for safety. Module 3. Belonging versus attachment. The Great Confusion. Belonging is inner coherence. Attachment is external dependence. Attachment says, I need you to feel safe. I must stay connected even if I abandon myself. Belonging says, I am rooted in myself, and connection flows freely. Many people confuse attachment with love, but attachment is fear holding on. Belonging is presence allowing. Reflection. Do I connect from fullness or fear? Where do I disappear in order to stay chosen? Who would I be in relationship if I did not fear abandonment? Autonomy does not threaten intimacy. It makes intimacy possible. Module 4. Control versus autonomy. The nervous system divide. Control is fear attempting to feel safe. It shows up as hypervigilance, people-pleasing, domination or submission, emotional suppression, constant self-monitoring. Autonomy lives in regulated nervous systems, in bodies that know how to pause, in choices made without urgency. Reflection. What am I trying to control right now? What would soften if I trusted myself? Where is fear pretending to be responsibility? A controlled soul performs. An autonomous soul creates. Module 5. The body as the seat of authority. Autonomy cannot be reclaimed mentally. It must be embodied. Before the mind explains, the body already knows. Tightness, expansion, ease, constriction. These are not random sensations. They are guidance. Ask, what does my body say before my mind interrupts? Where have I learned to override sensation? What truth is my body holding that my mind avoids? Authority lives in felt coherence. Module 6. Autonomy in relationships. Love does not require self-abandonment. Autonomous love includes honesty without punishment, boundaries without withdrawal, intimacy without possession, reflection. Where have I mistaken endurance for love? What would honesty change in my relationships? Who am I when I stop negotiating my truth? You are not meant to be consumed. You are meant to be met. Module 7. Autonomy in money and work. Money responds to authority, not fear, not hustle, not self-erasure. Reactive earning says, I must prove my worth. Autonomous earning says, I know my value and act intentionally. Reflection. Where do I work from fear instead of alignment? What would change if I trusted my timing? What am I creating from obligation instead of resonance? Work becomes expression, not extraction. Module 8. Parenting and lineage. Healing. Children do not need control. They need modeled sovereignty. Every time a child is taught not to trust themselves, fear extends across generations. Every time a child is shown safety in their truth, a lineage heals. Reflection. Where was my autonomy denied in childhood? What did I need that I never received? How can I model sovereignty now? Even for myself. This is how cycles end. Module 9. Integration. Living autonomy daily. Integration is where remembrance becomes reality. You pause. You feel. You choose. You act. You complete. Again and again. Reflection. Am I choosing or complying? What is the smallest, honest action available? What happens when I complete it fully? Autonomy is not loud. It is grounded. Closing transmission. You were not born to belong to another, not to a parent, not to a partner, not to a system, not to fear disguised as love. You were born to belong to your soul. Everything that has ever felt like suffering has been the tension created when this truth was forgotten. This is not rebellion. This is remembrance. And from this place, everything real begins.